film rescue show. This is the show with the biggest ego.
Yes.
It's even a bigger ego just to say we have the biggest ego.
Yes, it is.
I am Seth, your host, your confidant, your hot take initiator. We are joined in the studio by Brandon Bentley.
I'm still alive.
I'm so happy. I'm sad you missed Patrick last time.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure he will be back on. And our West Coast affiliate, Devon Grubb. Devon, you have a challenge for us today.
I do.
We were supposed to watch Small Soldiers, and I watched Small Soldiers today for the very first time.
Wait, you've never seen it before?
Yeah. Okay. So weird backstory. My parents are were very protective of us as kids, and so I was very much not allowed to watch Small Soldiers because
You're
of the
too
content.
small for Small Soldiers.
It was too small for Small Soldiers.
Because like my parents were too, but I've definitely watched it multiple times. Maybe I don't even remember where I watched it, but I know I've watched it. And then this whole thing came out of me just like literally just scrolling through Hulu movies, just trying to find stuff. And I came across it. I was like, I haven't watched this in forever. I'm just going to see what it's like. And
that's why you all talk about your parents and what movies you could see. My parents were taking me to see Total Recall and Predator 2 in the theater when I was like 5.
That's awesome.
Hey, as long as you're with an adult, you can see an R-rated movie.
Right.
Although I think nowadays it's like, if you're 6 and under,
dude,
a lot of theaters have that cutoff now.
I got in
it's
trouble
really
one time because I was hanging out with a friend and we went over to his neighbor's for like an hour. And during that time period, he put on the Terminator. And like when my parents found out that we were over there while the Terminator was playing, they flipped out.
Oh man.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot of stories like that, except for like mine include things that you're like, why couldn't you watch that? That was literally for kids. And I'm like, nope, still wasn't allowed.
Yeah, we were discussing like while watching this because while I had seen it, I don't think I had seen it since it came out on VHS.
So
like, the sad thing was the only thing I remembered was the post-credit memoriam for Phil Hartman. That's all I remembered from that movie. I don't know why.
I had like I remember like little bits of it. Not a lot though. Like it was a very different movie than what I remembered it being.
Yeah, I mean, I was familiar with like the toys and the peripherals and that kind of stuff.
Well, okay.
Like I was aware that it existed, but it was very much you can't watch that, so don't even think about it.
You forget that it earned its PG-13.
Oh yeah,
especially thanks to Act 3.
Interesting fact about that: it was originally going to be an R-rated movie. But the studio decided they wanted it to be PG-13. Joe Dante wanted to direct an R-rated toy movie, and they were like, "No, you got to make it PG-13." So he cut back, to that.
We already had an R-rated toy movie. It was called Puppet Master. We got a whole franchise out of that, in fact.
Yeah. So what? Okay, so this will be good then. What are your all's impressions as one person who's seen it before and is rewatching it, one person seeing it for the first time? What are your general impressions of this movie?
It really makes me miss how well put together movies were in the 90s, even the like really okay ones, as far as setting up exactly what you need in just the least amount of time necessary. That there's no fat. It meanders in different places as far as like trying to grab a tone or a message, but it's like actual like I guess filmmaking, layout, and storytelling. It's just they get so much done in an hour and a half that a lot of other movies need 2 hours to like kind of wade through to get where they want to go. Like because watching it, obviously it reminds me a lot of Gremlins. There's aspects of Toy Story, there's aspects of Home Alone, all these movies that were coming out at that time, and these were people making like just dense, like this movie's dense because it's not just Toy Story and Home Alone.
So much going on in every frame.
Yeah, but like they're also trying to explain plausibly how toys could come to life. And there's only one like real exposition dump scene with the microchips, and that's like halfway through. At this point, I'm like,
it's pretty short too.
Yeah, it's not long.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I think like if this movie were made today with the same kind of like budgets and constraints, everything would have been CGI. They would not have like taking the time to do
Yeah.
so many practical
And
effects.
that's what I've said before. It's like if you're using CG to assist,
right.
you're better off.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
obviously they save CG for the moments where you saw the full body actually moving around.
Right.
Like the only times you would see a full body shot that was practical is if it was just like the torso moving.
Right.
Like when Archer was on the dumpster, it's like, okay, there's a full body practical, but he's not walking.
Yeah.
He's just standing perfectly still
Right.
because got wires going all up his leg probably.
Right.
But yeah, like when they have to jump and run, things like that, it's like, okay, we can't do that with a puppet.
Yeah.
So then we'll use CG. But like you said, yeah, nowadays all CG.
Oh yeah, this would have just been like a CGI nightmare.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I was impressed with how good the CGI in this actually is for its time.
Especially for
I was
98.
like,
Yeah.
I was fully expecting to watch this and just be like, wanting to puke in my mouth at how bad it was, but
Right.
but I was
I think
legitimately impressed.
it was advantageous of them to shoot so many scenes indoors or at night because lighting is like half of a believable CG effect.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Brandon was bringing up during the daytime shots, it was like, ooh, they're a little washed out and gray.
Yeah. Black levels were a little more on the gray side, and
Right.
also I point out like one of the downsides with 4K releases of movies nowadays, especially older films where they actually finished on film, and yeah, the actual shot stuff looks really pin sharp. The CG stuff looks a little soft in comparison nowadays. So, like for example, I have a 4K of The Matrix, and like the practical stuff looks really sharp. CG stuff, still looks better than Blu-ray, but you can tell like the difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't blend
Yeah.
quite as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like if there's ever a 4K of Small Soldiers, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one. It's probably gonna be similar in that
The
case.
people are demanding it. Give
Hey.
us the 4K of small.
You never
soldiers.
know. There's something I can cash in on. I mean, Universal's kind of taking their sweet time with their catalog titles.
Yeah.
Unless they're like major names like Big Lebowski. That's like one of the few I can think of that they've
Right.
released. So.
Yeah.
And of course, it's an anniversary release. That's an excuse to put it on 4K.
Oh, that was one of my favorite things was turning this movie on and the Universal logo with the music underneath. I was like, this feels like the Predator a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, I just read something in the trivia real quick because when you said there's all these backstories, like I need to read a little bit of the trivia now. Apparently, they want the cast of the original Predator doing the voice of the soldiers.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been amazing.
Because I said that too. I was like, was that Jesse Ventura
Jesse
doing the
Ventura.
voice
That
of
would have been great. I actually had to
Brick
check.
something?
We must get the Gorgons.
Yeah, that would have been great, actually. And it
I'm
was
not sure if I was doing Jesse Ventura or Kevin from The Office.
They are like very, very similar, weirdly.
So I had to bring chili into the office today. Oh, wait. No, that's Kevin.
Yeah, the voices of Spinal Tap.
I didn't even piece that together because I was looking through the cast, and then when it just blatantly points that out
Oh,
in the
yeah.
cast.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like it's not even like a little hidden reference. Like no, it's the trio.
Literally, we couldn't get the Predator guys, so we got the
So
Spinal Tap.
this is
guy.
Spinal Tap.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, overall, I was very much not let down. I mean, it's obviously a remnant of the times, but
Yeah.
it feels majorly classic. Like while I was watching, I was like, okay, I see why people wanted this to come back on Hulu for streaming. Like it feels like
Yeah.
a classic.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got a pretty good cult following, although it did not do well on its release.
It's one of those.
Which is
I mean,
part of what inspired the re-rate.
Okay.
Because so I'll kind of lay out the challenge. We can talk about it more, but I'll lay out where my thought process went. So I thought the
There
same
you go.
thing: Home Alone, Toy Story, Gremlins, and then obviously Joe Dante directed Gremlins and Gremlins 2, and did Gremlins
Yeah.
2 like right before this, so that makes sense. But the entire time I was watching it, I wanted it to be more Home Alone. Like I was like, this needs to
Okay.
be more Home Alone, less Gremlins. Because it's like this. That's the whole thing. Is the soldiers build these contraptions. Like, it feels like it would work better in a tighter space.
Okay.
And then as I was kind of researching it, Home Alone 3, the absolutely terrible Home Alone 3 came out.
Hey, we still got 4 and 5 before you get there. So.
Yeah.
Hey,
Came out right before this.
it's true. I remember. Sadly.
And I don't know.
I was there.
Looking over the production crew too. This has a bit of a weird production crew because almost everybody on this thing has like a couple of really great movies and a whole bunch of things that are terrible or forgotten. Just like
The 90s sucked.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, I'm the '90s nostalgia whore. You take that back.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was like this. I feel like this movie. This movie is like one of those weird ones that kind of fell in between, where it could have been like a great crown jewel for all these people, but instead it kind of got delegated to a cult classic, and then everybody else forgot about it.
Okay.
So I guess so the challenge is twofold. One, make it more Home Alone and less Gremlins.
Okay.
But two, update this for today. Because frankly, this feels like it could have been made today with the premise very easily. Like
Okay.
it almost perfectly slots into like where the world is at technologically right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of a dual thing. Revive a classic, but also make it more like another classic.
And do we get free reign on like cast, crew, rating, tone, message?
Yeah, you can do whatever. Like pitch this, not like you're trying to redo this one, but like you're trying to remake it today. Like if somebody wanted you to write a script for it today, what would it be?
Okay.
Hmm.
So, off the top of my head, the obvious things that you have to bring in here, and actually we were just talking about this at the end of it. The end of this movie is tonally like the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in movies like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because it's just Dennis Leary shows up, writes 4 checks, and the movie's done.
Yeah.
Like there's no bad guy pie in the face moment.
Yeah.
Like the closest you get is I'm gonna mix them up. Was it Jay Moore? Who was the guy who's not David Cross?
Oh yeah, Jay Moore.
Yeah, like he gets like a nice clock across the face, but then Des Leary gets nothing.
Right.
And yeah, it felt almost like you're watching an alternate ending where it's like, oh, we did this with test audiences, but they didn't like that he didn't get a bit of a comeuppance.
Right.
But they never filmed the other ending. Like that's kind of how it feels. I mean, I still like the part where Alan does, send them off in the boat. That's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Like that felt like that should have stayed in there. But yeah, the whole thing with Leary made me kind of leery.
Yeah, it was weird, and what I was saying to Brandon was, what is the movie trying to say ending like this? Because like Joe Dante is probably a more subtle director as far as message goes, right? Like he's very in your face with premise,
Yeah.
but then like there's still a message underneath Gremlins, and there's still a message a little more meta underneath Gremlins 2, and
even the Burbs.
yeah, like he's definitely able to kind of sneak messages in. So my question was like, is Dennis Leary getting away with all this like an observation of capitalism? Is it like kind of along the lines of like, hey, if you're rich enough, you can make anything go away and you don't have to suffer the consequences? Because like by the end of it, was I supposed to be cheering for them that they were able to like remarket the small soldiers to South America?
Maybe they were implying something about Hollywood producers.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
With enough money, get away with anything.
right.
Honestly, to me, it very much felt like one of those endings where it's like, okay, we don't actually know how to stop this now.
Right.
That
So it's
started.
like an Edgar Wright movie.
Yeah. It's like, okay.
Yeah, like very true. Yeah.
I love them, but
Edgar, we know you want to just keep making the movie. You got to stop sometime, man.
that's what it is. We'll go with that.
Yeah. I guess I'm just very. I want to believe that there was a message in there, but it didn't feel like it popped up enough in the other places for it to be like, oh, there's an underlying current of capitalism sucks, man.
Yeah.
If that's what the goal
Well,
was.
again, think about it too think about this movie as though you had written it as an R-rated movie, and then were forced to reduce that. What do you think he would have done differently?
True.
In an R-rated movie?
Yeah, because like as I'm watching this, as I'm watching the scene, I feel like I'm able to predict the beats that are about to happen.
Yeah.
The next door neighbor is going to get the check written, and he's going to have a goofy response. That happens, right?
Yeah.
And then the family comes up, and they're like, the more grounded moral core of the film, and so I'm expecting like a maybe a little hassle to happen before they come to a resolution. But no, they just get paid off with money signs in their eyes.
So this is my thought. Is like, do you think somebody was supposed to have died? Because if your house gets destroyed by these toys, you're gonna take a check. You're a big enough check. You're gonna take it. You're gonna buy a new house. You're gonna forget it happened.
Yeah.
But if somebody died and then somebody tried to write you a check to be quiet, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
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 It depends on how comedic it was going to be originally and
right.
how dark. Because you can do a dark comedy, R-rated, something or other.
Yeah.
But, like there's certain levels of dark you can get away with in a dark comedy. It's tricky.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you've set the precedent. Also, for some reason, I think I remember somebody telling me that the cat gets killed in this one, and that didn't happen. And I don't know if that's another movie that I'm thinking of, because that would have been dark, but like,
well, now I'm thinking about
funny.
Payback with Mel Gibson, where depending on which version you watch, the dog that gets shot lives or dies.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
So even though, like, I love in the theatrical cut, like the dog takes a gun to the head and you hear the gun go off, and then later on it's bandaged around like the torso.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, because even before I knew there was another version, I'm like, that ain't right. That's not where he was shot.
Yeah.
And then you see the director's cut, and you're like, oh, sit, Ubu, sit.
Yeah. Okay, I'm basically stalling to formulate some ideas. I like the idea of there being a capitalist undertone, especially if you're going for an R-rated dark comedy.
Yeah.
If with the update, it would be really cool if we can work something that apes the Toys R Us disappearing, everything switching to online sales. Like that aspect of things,
because we kept making Toys R Us jokes.
Oh yeah. I think three of us at different points made a Toys R Us joke.
So like what if it was something like there was like a big box toy store that was having financial troubles? Like, hey, we need some sort of exclusive that'll get people to come in here. They'll say F you to Amazon,
right?
Not Amazon, obviously. They'll call it something else, but it's Amazon.
Yeah.
Because like I was thinking about, like I'm a steelbook whore. When it comes to Best Buy and movies.
Yeah.
Movies I could probably buy like $10, $15 cheaper on Amazon, but I need that steelbook because it's only at Best Buy.
Right.
So it'd be something like that at Toys R Us, where it's like, oh, you can't get that at Amazon. You have to go to Toys R Us. It's going to save this company. It's going to save our company, and da-da-da.
Okay, I like that as an idea.
Yeah.
So okay. I guess we need to decide how much of the plot we want to keep around. Like Gorgons versus army soldiers feels very 90s, because that's like, I mean, like watch an old episode on Movie Bob's Old Escapist channel. His whole thing is like, hey, remember the 80s and 90s? Remember there was like shows about underground rock monsters? And like, and that's like the pitch scene is literally the guy going like, "Oh, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. This is how you market it." Yeah. That was every toy show franchise back then. Was like, here's the Ninja Turtles, here's Krang and
the other guys.
Shredder.
You remember Krang, but I had a hard time with Shredder.
Okay, see,
I would have been the other way around.
See, I always mix up Shredder and then the Ninja Turtles master.
Splinter
and Shredder are just the same word in my head. So I'll go.
When you put wood into a shredder, you get splinters.
Right.
So.
Sure, but yeah, I don't.
That reaction, sure.
That mnemonic device is not going to help me in the future.
It won't. It'll make
Krang's still the better bad guy.
That's fair.
Yeah, so I guess if we're updating it for today, that doesn't really exist anymore. The whole like, buy the good guys, buy the bad guys, buy the accessories. That doesn't exist as much. So like, what is the new toy to terrorize?
Turbo Man.
Oh my god.
Which is actually just before this.
Well,
also with Phil Hartman.
I think
Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to jail for federal crimes.
Put
that
the
is how
cookie
that,
down.
That is how that movie should end. Didn't he blow up a post office?
I think he wanted to.
Or no, the postman had a bomb. That's what it was.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's Sinbad.
Yeah, somebody goes to jail. Yeah. Anyways,
but he was great in Shazam.
I think one thing you can definitely do too is like you don't need as much distinction between your toys either. Like I feel like there was a lot of effort put into like these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. We want to make very clear, what distinguishes them. I feel like you don't need that as much.
Yeah, if anything, one thing I was thinking about is rather than just being, black and white, what if we had shades of gray? What if we actually had like the one side that's supposed to be villainous or heroic? There is like the one that's the one or two in there. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
So like the soldiers, they are initially promoted as good guys, but we find out they're really bad guys. But like maybe there are some that really are good guys.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Gorgons. I keep trying to not call them Gargonzola, thanks to that line from Phil Hartman.
Gargonzola.
But yeah, I mean maybe that's a little too cliche. But rather than just being too like straightforward.
Yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah. So like I guess this is showing how disconnected from. Oh no, I've got a better idea. Okay. What if this movie wasn't about kids?
Like adult collectors?
Yeah.
Like me.
what if this? Because I'm trying to think like what do kids play with now? They play with everything online now.
Like what if it actually plays on 90s nostalgia? Like takes place now, but actually is based on 90s nostalgia. Right.
So it's like something along those lines and because those are the people that still, like you were saying with the steel boxes, people that still go to the brick and mortar stores. They don't want to buy the 27-inch Spawn replica online. They want to go to the store, see it, pick it up.
Oh my god! So the main character is going to be
me. All right, Brandon. I like this. This is a good idea. So then the question. So how?
Okay.
How hard?
Hey, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. You tell me if this works for what you're thinking. What if you literally played off the first movie? You, instead of doing a big box store, you do a collector store, like a small collector store, which would kind of like shadow, right, the first movie. And you have a collector literally buying the toys from the first movie.
So you're thinking more sequel?
Yeah, you could
or reboot cool, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
sure we're not going
I don't know where your thought process was going there, but just something to play with.
Yeah, I guess because my question was going to be like, they spend a lot of this movie trying to rationalize how toys come to life. That's like, they really dig into that, and I felt like that was very much a response to Toy Story.
Yeah, they tried to go more science than fantasy.
Yeah,
because Toy Story is just fantasy. It's like, hey, they come to life when you're not around. Boom.
Right. Yeah, we're not going to explore the mechanisms. Because I even brought up in the middle of the movie when they activate the Barbies or the Gwen dolls as soldiers. When they start adding the chips in, all of these Gwendolyn dolls have female voices, but there's nothing in that chip that would tell it to give it a female voice. So, like, is there still some element of fantasy? Is it, like, inherently toys have, like, a spirit or personality or something that the chip activates when it's added in?
There's that.
Again, this is not explained in the movie.
The chip the chip is secretly created using black magic.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, because I'm getting flashbacks to the Cars rewrite where I'm like, I just have more questions about the existential nature of this universe than I do any story that would happen in it.
Oops.
Yeah, so I guess, do we want to focus on the mechanism that is bringing the toys to life? Because that's where I'm getting stuck. It's like,
okay,
part of me wants to like storm through and just be like, no, just the toys.
Yeah, well, what if you just like Black Mirror it and just create a technology, but kind of just act like that technology exists and makes sense? Like, it's not even a thing. Like this, they're like, oh, there's this super futuristic chip that allows this. What if you're like, no, technology is just at a place where this can happen?
Interesting.
Yeah. Like, just accept it.
Yeah. I mean, and we kind of, like, honestly, we kind of are with companies creating robots and toys that move already. This would just be an enhancement of things that already exist. So, like that. I think that's part of the reason it could work today. It's like, no, this like legitimately could happen. You could buy a robotic toy
Yeah.
and have it just, come to life on you.
Okay, so
I don't want to do this anymore.
just do it.
Ah, come on! Hey, welcome to Michael's Film Cirque du Soleil. Being that I'm going to be forced to do this. We have a sponsor yet?
No.
No sponsors. Yay. Still pro bono. And also in landscape now, because Seth wants it in the landscape. Oh, we need a 4.3 aspect. Whatever. Anyway, this one is going to be Marvel edition. Thank you, Captain Marvel, for coming out. Showing us that there is women who are also superheroes. Because we didn't already know that, apparently. Also, Carol Danvers is pretty awesome. Anyway, we're going to get away from that. So, first movie I saw was Ant-Man and the Wasp. You know, if that movie came out before Infinity War, it would have been good. But it came out after. So it's absolute toss. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of soccer today. Or footy. A little bit of footy. It's bad. It's a bad movie. The acting's fine. But it's pointless. It's like over here, hey, he just snapped his fingers, but we're doing our own little fun thing. And then the only thing that matters of that entire movie is the post-credit scene. So you have to sit through 2 hours of this pointless movie to get to who the hell is dead and what happened to whoever or whatever. Spoiler alert, Scott's trapped somewhere. So, I just saved you 2 hours. You're freaking welcome! Anyway. I really hate this camera view. Makes me look fatter. And also I have a huge forehead. You don't even see my hair. Anyway. Second movie I saw was Avengers Infinity War. That's a damn good movie. That's a good film. Acting's great. Pacing's okay. It's got some problems in between. They somehow give everyone the credit they deserve as well. And one of my favorite things about it is the Russo brothers. They know how to make movies. I mean, they made the best one, Winter Soldier. So the fact that they're able to keep doing that and consistently keep making good movies makes me really happy. And it's a good film. It's a good film. Give it a watch. Superhero movie scale, it's 10. And, of course, regular movie scale, it's a 6. It's a fucking 6. You sure we don't have any sponsors? No. Son of a bitch! Alright, well, fuck this. The shitty movie of the week is Captain America Civil War, okay? That movie sucks. Doesn't follow the Civil War. They thought, well, Robert Downey Jr. is the best thing for this franchise, so we can't make him a goddamn fascist, which is what he is in Civil War! It's a bad movie. Terribly paced. Terribly acted. And the fight scene has no real payoff besides, hey, here's Spider-Man. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this landscape edition of Michael's Film Festival. And I hope you have a great day with this free content.
Because, okay, so obviously with Joe Dante having done Puppet Master, part of this really wanted to skirt into that territory of like being to a degree haunted by these toys. I wonder if that is like the thing that we should delve more into instead of like an assault on a house, which is what it turns into. If we, oh man, I'm having some like just more horror centered ideas of like, what if it was like a collector with agoraphobia that like literally only leaves his house to go get the new toy and come back.
Oh wow.
And so like the idea of just leaving the house is, already an obstacle within the film, because that keeps everything really centered around an apartment or something like that.
Yeah.
How big? Like, do we? Because man, we're really shifting tone, I guess is what I'm saying here.
Which is, I mean, that's fine. Like, if you're also going for an R-rated version, making it more of a horror and less of like a schlocky, campy, teen movie makes sense. Like, I think that's part of the reason this doesn't work as well as it could is instead of being a kids movie or an adult movie, it tries to be in the between.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like hit its tone properly.
Yeah.
True. Okay, so what if there was less toys? What if this wasn't like an invasion as it turns into in the movie, but like what if we could center this around like a couple toys? Specifically maybe like one toy that's pretty stationary that could, lean more towards the good side, and then one that's like physically able to move around more that can become more threatening within a house.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the pitch to be, like, evil silly putty.
It can copy anything.
And, like,
it's printed.
If you go dolls, you're very quickly start to skirt into the Child's Play Chucky doll area, which this movie did a really good job of not feeling like Chucky. Like, at no point... I was expecting it to, actually. I was expecting it to feel like Chucky at a certain point. And I was like, nope, this still feels like toy soldiers.
Well... Think about this too, like if you're going for that vibe, which is great, and you're pushing into the Home Alone territory, which is great. Think about like what would you do for Home Alone if Kevin was an adult? Like how would you make that have the same kind of stakes, right?
Right. Are you saying like maybe without plot contrivance of like, what if an agoraphobe got shut in during like a hurricane or something like that, so that like.
Yeah,
like the plot contrivance of weather makes
like,
things very easy or simple.
Agoraphobe is great because like some people have extreme agoraphobia where it would literally be worse for them to go outside than to face a couple of intruders, right? Like there are people to that degree.
Which is I like it as an idea, but then I also have the issue of like. How are they getting to this toy store to buy the toys?
Yeah. Well, what if instead of them leaving, what if they had somebody get them? Like they still wanted to get it from toys, but they use like the secret shopper services, except using like cameras, so they experience it from in their house using technology. Like
all I can think about right now is the surrogate from Arrested Development. The guy that has the iPad hanging on his chest.
Oh god, I forgot about that.
I love that. That was the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm. What's his name? The old guy with the raspy voice. I can't remember. Anyways, not important. I'm not casting him in anything. Okay, yeah. So centering it around one home. Part of me wants to make the home a little more interesting, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, trying to think of good examples of that. What was that really terrible troll movie from the 80s where there's like a fantasy world in their house and or in the apartment building?
Oh man, that sounds so familiar.
It does.
Like, there's like troll people and like there's like a forest world with a witch inside of it, I think. This is besides the point.
It sort of sounds like a cross between Narnia and Troll 2. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in the Troll series or what. Anyways, I was thinking a building like that. Like maybe
They made another one?
Yeah, like location will be important to this.
So you don't want the Kevin McAllister house. It's a little too big.
Yeah. It's a little too big. I'm trying to think of like set pieces is really what I'm going for. Is like what would be a cool set piece? Like an apartment building with a laundry chute is a fun thing, or stuff like that for setting up. What if they weren't an agoraphobe? What if they were like don't want to say paraplegic. I'm just trying to think of like what would be the scariest situation I could be in with a toy in my house, and why would I not just leave or kick the toy?
There's that.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of build up that you have to go for.
I think kick the toy is a good example of how, like, it's something you can actually do, because like that's your first instinct. Small toys show up to threaten you, you kick them. Maybe you kick them down a set of stairs. But then what if you forgot about them and they survived and they realized they needed to come back bigger and badder? Like, what if they were adapting to you?
Okay.
As far as keeping somebody like in the same area, I mean, what if just what if instead of you could
what about house arrest?
House arrest could work, especially if you had like like limited leave or something. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Like escorted leave. Like what if their parole officer could take them to the toy store to get stuff? That's like one of the things,
I mean, we've already got the main character in the original who's already been apparently known for being a troublemaker, so
you kind
of bleed into that.
Okay, yeah, and I'm okay.
You try to set the school on fire, you're on house arrest.
I'm okay. I'm okay with this being like a sequel. Ooh. Okay. Follow me here.
Okay.
This is the kid from Small Soldiers, now grown up. He things didn't work out with Kirsten Dunst, and so
he's now played by Tobey Maguire.
So he started acting out again. That was a plot in the movie that didn't really follow through to anything.
No.
As I'm saying it and thinking, I was like, why did they bring that up? It was just to explain why his parents. Explain why his parents don't trust him, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so if it's this kid and now he's a super collector, and he's got all this stuff. And I'm trying to find a way to get like the chip that was in Tommy Lee Jones's Chip Hazard into something new. Yeah. And it's on like a revenge mission.
What if he became obsessed? Like, what if he no longer had his toys, but because of all of this, he became obsessed with trying to bring toys back to life? Like, what if he created the problem?
Okay. Okay, what if he had a 3D printer that he put like nanotech AI into?
Okay.
Is that like too corny, techy?
No, I mean I think operating with a 3D printer is super, like, that's super common now. So then operating with like an enhanced 3D printer is saying, okay, we're just pushing it that step further, right? We're using, especially if you think what you do is, instead of using nanotechnology, use memory materials.
Okay.
Because like memory materials are a thing that exists and a thing that can change their shape based on subtle temperature differences. So they're actually like controllable. So you could do something like that where it's like, okay, I've just figured out a way to utilize these two technologies that exist to create something new, and you don't even have to explain it in depth at all. But yeah,
okay.
I mean, you could use like nanotech too if that makes more sense in the context. But like there's definitely the technology out there. I think that it's feasible. Somebody could make that happen.
Right. Yeah. I guess my idea for the nanotech was like to make it learn.
Yeah. So like
that's true.
AI.
That's true. Yeah.
Or adaptive intelligence.
Yeah. Actual intelligence. That was
keep the A in AI and no matter what you do.
That was such a goofy line. I loved it. You
nice.
mean AI? Artificial intelligence? No. Actual intelligence. Oh, okay.
Thank you, guy from Deep Space Nine.
True. Okay, I'm getting the formulation of an idea here. So, the guy's on house arrest. Because like we're stumbling into like Frankenstein territory, right? Like something.
Yeah.
He's kind of regressed across his life, and so we may even make it understandable that the toy would want to, like, find out why he was made and why he hates everything. This would be a lot easier if I knew what the toy was, like, what was created, why is it scary. I'm trying to think of toys I was scared of as a kid. Besides my mother's 2 foot tall doll with hair missing, so you could see all the plugs. Oh, it was frightening. I think she still has it somewhere too. It's like if you mix up the twins from The Shining and Chucky.
Oh, God.
It was like literally that. I was like, this is worse. This is worse than either of those things.
See, now I'm thinking about that episode of Seinfeld where George's fiance had that doll that looked like his mother.
Oh, yeah.
He actually starts to hallucinate that it's talking to him. Like, he hears her voice. Like, you don't see the mouth move, but you just hear the voice. In the middle of the diner, and everyone's just looking at him like don't tell me how to eat. Like, the hell?
I love it. Okay. What is the toy? That's what we need to break here. That's going to be our big thing. What would toys look like in a future where most kids are just playing Fortnite? Oh, I mean the present.
Yeah, exactly. This is why we don't have Toys R Us anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's true.
What kind of toys? I mean, like, what kind of toys are currently popular? Like, because people are still buying them. I know a lot of toy purchases now are like fan purchases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically I'm trying to figure out like how to make a Funko Pop scary.
Yeah.
It'd have to be one of those large ones that are like 18 inches.
Oh, yeah.
Those do exist, but they're few and far between.
A giant porg.
Oh, jeez.
That is frightening. Especially if it makes the noises, but the voice box is like octave down.
Oh, God.
So,
No.
have you ever seen that video of the guy who octave down Yoshi's voice until it sounds like a normal person? Oh, it's the stuff of nightmares.
Sweet Jesus.
Mlem. It's so weird.
No, don't do that.
Man, this sucks. I'm sure anyone that's listening is just like screaming out a great idea. It's like, this would be so scary.
Have you not seen a Teletubby?
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid child's play. Is really
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
Maybe
What if it was something along the lines of like Kinects or Legos or like something that can like change itself and like become adaptive. I'm thinking like, what if we lean more into the territory of The Thing or Life, or those like claustrophobic you don't know what the monster's going to be.
You know what could be good about that is if it starts small and then literally builds itself over the course of the movie to like a legitimately giant thing.
Okay, so it's basically it's a Katamari. Like Katamari Damacy.
I love that game. Oh.
Now,
they re-released Katamari Damacy, didn't they?
I think multiple times, I think. I think there's a vinyl out now.
I need to get that. There's like a weird piece that I get from rolling around and picking up
it's
square people.
Kind of hilarious. Like, no one ever watched the show Chowder, but I got a huge laugh out of the episode that basically ended with a Katamari spoof. Yeah, it was called Grubble Gum, where the gum would like massively stick to things, and he couldn't get rid of it. And it would just like keep sticking over the course, and finally it just turns to a giant ball and starts eating up the entire town. And yeah, the music they're playing is essentially a spoof of the Katamari music.
That's awesome.
It's kind of amazing.
That makes me so happy. Okay, yeah, so the Kinects, which is probably just a weird reference in general for people. Kinects.
What's the Kinect?
Kinects was this like plastic construction thing that was like similar to Legos.
I had one.
Oh, okay.
And there was actually one in my third grade class. Whenever it would rain, we would have recess indoors.
Yeah.
And it was just like, buck wild for me because I would just like play with all the stuff inside. I would either draw or mess with Kinects. Like we had Kinects there, and they're like, "Stop making Mortal Kombat weapons." I'm sorry,
dude.
But yeah, I love Kinects. That was great.
We used to use I used to use Kinects to build like toy swords and stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the best.
I
But
remember
we had
using-
Connects and the Erector set. That was more
Oh
hardcore.
yeah.
I never
Dude.
messed with that though. But yeah, the Erector set was like a hardcore Connects.
Oh yeah. That's old too.
Yeah.
Erector set's like
Yeah.
ancient.
Oh, yeah.
My older
Yeah,
brother
you
was
got-
really good with those. He designs the like miniature realistic models
Oh, okay.
of like trucks and stuff now.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, in that world.
Nice.
So I'm like vaguely familiar with it. So yeah, what if it was something like that? I'm also kind of thinking of the technology from Big Hero 6, the like little nanotech.
Oh yeah.
That
something
little
along those
nanotech
lines.
is really cool. My thing with like Connects or Legos, as I'm thinking about it, is I feel like it's just gonna be a very schlocky monster. Like
yeah,
You don't.
it's
Yeah.
gonna
It's like the more I'm thinking about it, it's like this is gonna turn into Tony Stark's armor in Infinity War after
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
It's just gonna keep like building up and morphing, and it's like you're going more into supernatural territory.
it's
It's not supernatural. It's science.
his ex machina armor.
I mean,
Literally, Homecoming doesn't happen without Spider-Man's suit. That movie doesn't happen.
I know.
Without that suit.
Homecoming is just mini me Tony Stark, mini me Iron Man. That's all it is. It's Iron Man hijacking a superhero movie.
Yeah. All right, let's deconstruct the horror from Small Soldiers. Why does that work? Is it? I mean, I know part of it is the uncanny valley of those soldiers' just screwed up faces.
Yeah.
Some of them are like wildly misshapen in a way that I'm like, how is this a toy that you would market as the hero?
For what was it, like $79.99?
Yeah. $75.99.
Yeah, we made that joke at the beginning. It's like, do they even say how much they cost? Very into the movie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Slap a couple zeros on and send them to South America. That's frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a cliche at all.
I like the elements that we have so far. We just figuring out what the toy. Yeah, let's deconstruct more. Why were the Gorgons not scary? They were like pretty monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It
I think
seemed
it's
like
a
it
good
was more in the
example
voices.
of
Yeah.
purpose. Like the soldiers aren't really scary except for the fact that they are specifically designed to kill. And
Yeah.
the Gorgons aren't scary because they're specifically designed not to. Like they're specifically designed to lose. So it's more
Yeah.
about the spirit of the thing, right?
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how much that helps, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the more horror elements of it.
Yeah.
Like definitely the transformation of the Barbies and then them attacking in the like. Literally, they turned that girl's room into Sid's room from Toy Story.
Yeah.
That was pretty horrific.
yeah, Sid's room's great. That's a great horror element. And actually, that brings up something. If you have this guy, if he has a bunch of toys, if you start with a singular toy and have it start to build out, like if it figured out how to capitalize on the technology and convert a bunch of his other toys and basically Frankenstein all of them, I think that might give you a better way to make, like, to build a horror from this, like, relatively harmless thing to something that's like, oh crap, like, you could legitimately die in this circumstance.
Yeah. So what if he's been collecting like the ultra realistic, expensive collector's items with like the sword is actually stainless steel.
Yeah.
What if it was something like that, where like when we first see the home and the toys in it, it's like, oh, these look awesome, and then the horror sets in as you realize, oh, if that came to life, it could actually hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if he collected like horror toys?
Well, that is a big thing. Just ask Todd McFarlane.
Yeah.
That's his second career, pretty much, is making these horror figures.
Right.
And not even just from movies. Like, he's done like a horror version of Wizard of Oz.
That's amazing.
Those are very messed up, by the way.
I believe it.
The Dorothy one looks like something out of Silent Hill.
Okay.
It's a little BDSM.
Ooh.
I mean, that's actually, you could actually capitalize on that instead of him just straight up buying horror things. If he converted, because then that plays into like he created his own demise.
Yeah.
So it's even more like Sid at that point.
Okay, so we're going into like dark comedy where like
Oh yeah.
we don't even really have a protagonist.
Is this Under Siege too? Because I think it's dark territory.
Wow.
I see myself that by.
And Brandon was never heard from again.
Okay, so this pitch is really like, what if Sid grew up? The end.
And that's it.
Yeah, I was trying to think of like, what is the stinger there? It was like, no, what if Sid grew up?
What if Sid grew
Never
up?
done. There's your
Okay.
Toy Story 4, Pixar.
Oh my god.
Even though
We
actually
could
already
only
did one for
hope.
reasons.
Guaranteed
Oh,
he's going to
man.
be a cameo that helps the toys out in that movie. I'm calling it right now.
Take it long
I'm
enough.
calling it in this podcast. Sid shows up as an ex machina in Toy Story 4.
Oh my god.
That's what the fans demand.
That's what the fan
Not even gonna
demands.
argue that.
I'm gonna look like a friggin' genius in a couple months when that happens. I'm gonna get texts from both of you like immediately after the theater. God damn it, Seth, how'd you do that?
You pulled a Rich Evans.
Okay, so all right, I like this. He collects and creates horror toys, and something happens.
Well, no. So that's
start to
so
come
that's
to life.
them coming to life is then the natural progression of that. Him going from I'm creating horrific looking toys that I want them to actually be terrifying. I'm gonna try to bring one to life.
Oh, okay. So what if the first like 10-15 minutes of the movie is us like seeing his life, seeing that he's on house arrest and entertaining himself with this like horror hobby, and then he gets obsessed with the idea of finding the chip from Chip Hazard to because that was the most horrifying thing from his childhood.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Right.
he's like acting out on these like PTSD symptoms from what happened in Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
So he's trying to find this chip so he can reactivate it, and that's like that will be his crowning jewel, the like
Yeah.
melted, awful, evil Chip Hazard. And because it was a learning and memory AI, when he brings it back to life, Chip Hazard is like, okay, well, resuming what I was doing before, but now it's all directed at you.
Yeah.
Because we're in this, and that could be part of it too. If he's an ultra collector, maybe he set up his home with like security measures that that like he can either use against the toys or they can use against him. I'm thinking like if you had Chip Hazard in a glass case that he couldn't like literally the line is let me see you punch your way out of that one after he sets him up in the in like reinforced
Plexiglass.
glass.
Ooh, that I like that too because that plays is a little bit
Challenge
of the it's like he's not just doing this because he wants Chip Hazard back to life, but because he wants to punish him.
Yeah. Yeah,
Makes sense.
that
Yeah,
okay. So I like that. Now so we've got some realistic horror toys. This could be even fun to do like a Cabin in the Woods type thing.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like now we can see like either knockoff versions of or if licensing allows actual versions of like monster toys from previous movies like a Puppet Master toy or a Chucky doll or
I'm sure Dark Moon wouldn't mind.
yeah like that
Or Full Moon.
that's basically the
Whatever
end
the
right because Cabin in the Woods is a dark comedy like that.
Oh yeah.
So literally just like reference it at the end when all the toys are alive and it's like now we're seeing all of these different the pantheon of crazy toy manufacturing stuff. Okay, that would be a cool ending to the movie actually. I would enjoy that where it's like it just goes just ape shit off the walls and ends in a bloodbath. See, okay. Our hero, what was the kid's name? Alan. That's all. Anytime I hear Alan, all I can think is Jurassic Park 3.
Alan.
when I think it was Fallen Kingdom was coming out, and they were doing all the like honest trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was
oh
it.
my god! I think I just gave myself just PTSD of Alan. It was everywhere. And it was funny every time. It was funny every time somebody made the
Damn you
reference.
screen junkies, damn it.
Yeah, so Alan man, I want to. I've been on this H.P. Lovecraft kick recently, and I really just want to inject some like.
Wait. Recently?
Okay, Devon knows me too well. I am obsessed with getting H.P. Lovecraft type things onto screen, just because of how unadaptable they are. But I love the cosmic horror, and I would really love to be able to inject some kind of like Lovecraft.
So now that you said unfilmable, I'm imagining you trying to take an Alan Moore story and add Lovecraft to it.
Okay.
That face.
I didn't say I want to do something impossible that people would hate me for. Also, when you say Alan Moore, I think of Alan Wake.
Alan. Damn it, we're stuck in a circle.
We do need a soundboard in here. We really need a soundboard, and I need a Raptor button that just says Alan.
Son of a bitch. All right.
Okay. Here's the issue I'm foreseeing. Who's gonna die? Like, we need people to die if we're making this an R-rated horror movie where toys are eviscerating people.
And you got to be careful not to go into cannon fodder characters where they're there just to die.
Right.
Because like so many like 80s horror films, just like, oh, look at all these characters that are gonna die.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, you've had 3 lines of dialogue, and we're a half hour in. You're gonna die.
Yep.
Well, why don't you just bring back his family, like the people close to him? If he's in this spiral, there's gonna be people around trying to bring him out of it, right? He's not. I mean, he's not in a bubble, as it were.
That's interesting. Okay, that can also put like maybe some kind of clock in it as well. If he's on house arrest, then let's say he's got like if the movie takes place over the course of a week, he's got like his mom's gonna come by with groceries on Tuesday. His dad swings through after work on Thursday.
It also that actually gives you a really great moment for like as these things are happening for him to be reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, don't come. This thing's happening," and everybody just assumes he's just breaking.
Yeah. and then the end of the movie comes with like some like Amazon delivery guy coming in and like getting trapped in there with them like being the one that's able to like fight his way back out. Because like you gotta throw a protagonist in that people can be like
I hate that I have to deliver packages in the house now.
Yeah. So, I can't believe this guy signed up for the put it inside thing.
Context.
Recut that one how you will.
He's going in through the back door, which is what he's the best at. Thank you, Maximilian Duke.
Amazon really set themselves up with that one. That's cool. I like that. Ooh, he gets a drone delivery, and they adapt the drone into.
Oh yes.
I was thinking about the drone. I was like, I have no idea what to do with it.
Oh yeah, no, the drone gets adapted into the.
And just bring back Ride of the Valkyries.
Yeah.
Because why not?
That
It's already
would
in
be
the first
so
movie.
Great. Oh my god, I love that idea. Yeah. Okay, that's good. I like the idea of the toys killing an animal. I don't know why I thought that was in the original. I'm gonna put it in this version.
God.
Because it makes them like evil and sadistic, right?
Yeah.
Just a bit.
If you needed a reason to
not
not
at all.
use toys,
Killing animals is a perfectly innocent thing to do.
What did Mr. Marbles ever do to you?
Devin, we're 55 minutes in, and am I allowed a little rabbit hole for a second?
Go down a rabbit hole. I'll give it to you.
There we go.
Okay, so I watched that movie Polar on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
It's bad. It's really bad.
Which one's that?
Mads Mikkelsen
okay.
doing their damnedest to try to do John Wick.
I know the one you're talking about. Is that the one with him with the ice patch or the eye patch?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where he looks like what's his name from Metal Gear Solid.
Yes. Here's the rabbit hole of that.
Okay.
The whole movie is trying to do, I guess it's like John Wick, but what if it was Guy Ritchie, almost?
Which I feel like around the turn of the century would have been a good thing.
Yeah, it could have worked, but it doesn't. They want to differentiate themselves from John Wick. So within the first 10 minutes of the movie, the guy gets a dog and then falls asleep with a gun in his hand and accidentally shoots it while having a nightmare.
Honestly, best moment of the movie.
who do who do you go after at that point?
Right.
I accidentally shot my dog. I need to kill
It
somebody
was
else.
just like, it was one of those
Well,
things, because as
He
if,
also like legitimately doesn't care about the dog at all. Like he makes that so clear up front that like,
Oh,
"No,
yeah.
I don't care about this thing."
yeah, and like as if they needed to differentiate themselves, because Johnny Knoxville dies with a boner in the first 3 minutes of this movie. So yeah, like I wasn't in my head going, oh man, they're just trying to do John Wick and do an assassin world that they don't explain. No, that thought didn't go through my head because Johnny Knoxville gets shot by a sniper and dies with a boner, and the boner deflates as he dies. Brandon has left the studio. Somebody thought it was a good idea to commit that to film.
Son of a bitch! This is not Jackass, damn it!
Said all of that to say, yeah, sometimes it's okay to kill an animal in a movie. Polar did
Yes.
not do it right.
It doesn't sound like it.
Oh. No, I feel like what you need to do if you want to kill an animal, you really want to make it impactful, is you make it like an assistant animal.
Service animal.
Service animal, thank you. You make it some kind of service animal, like, one of those ones that's there for people who need like constant companionship.
Yeah.
So then like one, you make it close to Gregory. Or
Gregory?
No, Gregory Smith is the
Alan.
Alan. Man, I tried to avoid it, but no. Alan. And so that there's emotional impact, but then you make that the reason the toys kill it. So then you've got psychological warfare going on.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. Okay, so why doesn't he call the police?
I mean,
is the question we need
straight,
to like...
He straight up should call the police like first thing. Because that conversation of a grown man trying to explain that his toys are coming to life to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, how serious will they take someone who is under house arrest at that point? It's like, really? No, this guy's trying something.
Right. Like, yeah, because I'm seeing the movie ending with him deciding to like break house arrest. What if this was his last shot? What if like this house arrest is like the third time he's been on, and if he goes outside, he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Like for a long time, goes to jail.
Yeah. That would be good.
It has to get so bad in the house that he would rather go to jail for a long time than try to survive with these toys.
Oh, yeah.
Then your police call is him calling his parole officer, trying to explain why he needs to leave the house.
Yeah.
Well, if the parole officer's another one that get killed.
Ooh, that'd be good. That's a good, that's a good idea.
Yeah, like someone that could potentially be the bridge between him and the police. And
right.
Then,
comes over for a drug test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not right away.
No, yeah. Not right away.
Because he'd be one of the few believing him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's a great idea. I love that. The parole officer... Oh, it would be great if, like, we get one of those, like, Saw-type scenes in the bathroom, like, while he's getting drug tested. Because, the setup is right there. The dude's dick is out. If there's killer toys with sharp objects in the house and a police officer who does not believe him, I would want to try to change it to spin it in a way where, like, he has to stay quiet in that room. I mean, I guess if the...
But what if he was like grunting and making all these sounds trying to fight the toy off? It's like, sir, it's a urine test, remember?
Yeah, well, like, okay, so I'm trying to figure out how much I want to reveal about myself. I have been drug tested before, and
you get those for jobs.
Okay, but not in that. Usually, those is like go pee in the bathroom real quick.
Yeah. Or
the context of mine, it is more along the lines of a parole officer drug testing, which, like, most of the time they have to watch you to make sure that you haven't bought, like, a fake phallus that's full of pee. This is a real thing. You can buy...
I shouldn't be surprised,
You can buy fake genitals for both genders, all the genders, and they come with, like, pre-filled with urine, and they have heating pads in them, so it comes out the right temperature. But, like, part of these, like, more rigorous drug tests is, like, either they have to watch or they have to be right there. So being loud is, like, almost saying that you're trying something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how many people could relate to that, but I know me sitting in the theater would freak out if there was like a sharp-bladed toy coming after you while you're trying to have like a clean drug test.
Yeah, I would think so.
That pulls you a little bit into the schlocky area, I guess, but
I mean, if we're doing like dark comedy. Then...
Yeah, dark comedy. Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's a great scene. I changed my mind. I'm keeping it.
And we're back.
It's a great scene.
To toy knife on the dick.
He just gets circumcised.
Also, make it some kind of religious toy.
Oh,
Jesus.
yes. Oh, that's perfect. Oh.
Major Moyle.
It's like
I'm going to hell for that one.
No, that's amazing, Devon. That's too perfect. I'm trying to think of like what the context would be. What if it was like a branded circumcision toy where it's like Jesus but his hands are blades above his head?
That reminds me of in Robin Hood Men in Tights where Mel Brooks had the little mini guillotine. Just put it in there and lift the tip.
Oh my god. Yeah, that would be hilarious and frightening. Yeah,
yes.
That's a very specific feeling to pull out of people too. It's like I'm laughing but I'm also cringing like in pain.
It's like instant at-home vasectomy.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
Ooh.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Yeah, we've got a
Putting a lot of thought into this one scene.
We've got a pretty good pitch here. Okay, now I'm going to. Okay, oh no, actually, I want to go back to circumcisions for a second.
No, ride that train to its end.
Does Wolverine's healing factor make him regrow his foreskin?
Well, if it wasn't there when his mutant powers were activated,
I'm going to assume based on what version he was either born in America, which would have been very Protestant. Circumcisions would have been the norm.
There you go.
Or I think there's some versions where he was born in Spain, which again, Catholic, you're gonna get circumcised. So,
yeah.
I'm curious, is all. I'm just curious.
Tweet at Hugh Jackman. Actually, you know what? Tweet Ryan Reynolds. He'd probably be asking Hugh Jackman about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Especially
if you tweeted him that, guaranteed he would ask him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because my follow-up question is, Hugh, are you a method actor? Did you take before skin on?
So, huge jacked man. There's a question that the fans have to ask.
Yeah, okay, that's enough circumcision talk.
For now.
Okay, who's going to direct this mess? Besides us, obviously.
Like, I'm trying not to go towards Lloyd Kaufman at Trauma at this point.
Oh my god, a trauma...
We're going into NC-17 at that point.
When was the last time we had a trauma film? Do they still exist? Are they still making movies?
They still exist. In fact, Lloyd was actually a guest star on an episode of Angry Video Game Nerd talking about the Toxic Crusaders video games.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's definitely a gross out episode, of course. But yeah,
sure.
Someone recent I'm trying to think of. We gotta go... shoot.
Also, I feel like a lot of people forget that James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, was a trauma kid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he got to start there. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman is sort of like a Roger Corman in that capacity.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people actually got their start at Trauma and have actually gone on to do other things.
Actually, you know what? Back up, just for a little context. Explain what Trauma movies are for anybody who doesn't know or hasn't investigated.
That's kind of hard to pin down. For the most part, there are some exceptions. They're definitely meant to be like gross out comedies, mainly with horror elements. But by gross out, I mean gross out. Like, there's no way you can really get them into like an R capacity without doing major trimming down.
Yeah. Basically, there was a surplus of latex and slime in the 80s, I guess.
Yup.
And they just put it in movies.
Because like the one mainstream one, in fact, I think this is one of the few that was able to be rated R, although there is an unrated version, of course, was The Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
That's where we got Toxie.
Yeah.
And then we got the Saturday morning cartoon for reasons. Then we got RoboCop as well, and that also was R and unrated. So it was a very interesting time to be alive as a kid. Yeah. But yeah, no, Trauma was definitely like the little indie film company where it was all like gross out horror comedy stuff. Some serious, but I feel like the more serious ones were not produced by Trauma. They ended up being distributed by Trauma. So there's like a few exceptions here and there, but like they had, what was it, a Poultrygeist?
Yes.
And stuff like that, which is like super gory, but it's like Story of Ricky gory.
Yeah.
So it's so over the top, like it might make you cringe but laugh at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Laugh while you feel like you want to vomit.
There's like there's a little thing I think that happens in your head where like when you see these effects, they're just realistic enough that your brain goes, oh, that's someone's head getting squished in and imploded. But then something kicks in like during the action of that moment where you're like, oh no, it's just a gooey goopy thing. Like it's very not. Something just turns off in your brain. You're like, oh no, that's fine. It's funny.
Yeah, there's that like constant switch back and forth.
Oh yeah.
It's like if you go too far one way, you're gonna be like,
yeah.
But if you go the other way,
because like
that's trauma basically.
Yeah, because I think about Rob Zombie's Halloween. When Mike Myers smashes in some guy's face and just caves his cranium into a bowl. And that's like, no, that's too realistic. I can't watch. The sound is too much. It's too realistic. I'm dying over here.
Yeah,
that's like
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, but the trauma stuff is like, oh, that was a very poorly made like mannequin head that was stuffed full of like some bright color of slime, depending on the context of the character.
I wouldn't be entirely against just bringing Joe Dante back and having him go, oh, okay, this is actually more what I wanted to do in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
what's the last thing Joe Dante did? What's his most recent credit?
I feel like he's probably done like smaller stuff lately.
Probably.
Although it's sad that the last thing leaping to mind was like 2003's Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Yeah.
So, which I heard wasn't terrible in some cases, believe it or not.
That was one with Brendan Fraser, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I've got a weird story about that one. It may not be right for this podcast, but like, anybody who knows that there was like two very distinct endings for that movie, and one of them is infinitely better. And there's like some mock-ups of how it was supposed to end, but it was just 2 steps to adult and 2 steps to meta, which for Looney Tunes is perfect. Like tonally, it works.
Yeah.
But I think it was like, we're gonna have kids in the theater and we're just gonna lose them. So instead, they did Tweety Bird Gets Giant.
Sure.
If I recall correctly.
See, I've yet to see it. I've just heard a lot about it over the years because
Yeah.
Joe Dante was a huge Looney Tunes fan.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. What was the Wilhelm Count scream?
I heard 2.
Yeah, I had 2 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Dante would be good. You know, weirdly, this is something I wouldn't mind Max Landis doing.
Yeah, I can see that.
You'll hate me, Eli Roth.
I promise I'm not going to walk out of the room again.
It gets funnier every time you do it.
Well, see, here's the thing. If we go the Eli Roth route, the Eli route, I've yet to see The House with the Clock in its Walls because I've given that man way too much rope and he's hung me way too many times with it. But I feel like if he's already put off Family there, and the reviews weren't abysmal for that one. They're better than most of his other films. In fact, I think it was like rotten and then went back to fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Like not by much, like 60-some%. But I feel almost like if you took an amalgamation of his tones from his films, it could probably in some capacity work.
That was the feeling I was getting. I saw, I'm not going to be able to remember the name of it. The one where Keanu Reeves hooks up with the 2 teenage girls.
Oh yeah, I have not seen that one, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Do you know which one I mean, Devon?
Ironically, one of them is engaged to Eli Roth, or maybe even married. I forgot her
yeah.
name. She was the one in Green Inferno.
Man.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name though.
I can't either.
I feel like I should know that because for some weird reason, I've seen the preview for that a ton of times in the last couple of months. I don't know if it's not like I'm looking for it. I think it just keeps popping up places.
No, it's Google's predictive algorithm that knew I was going to bring it up on the podcast today and wanted to preempt you for
now
it.
There's going to be an ad on Facebook and all of our pages.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's got like it also has like one of the most generic. It's one of those ones that's got super generic name.
Well, I think it's a remake of an old movie too.
Of course. Probably a French one.
Probably.
It's like I keep forgetting there was a remake of Martyrs, which is like one of the most brutal damn horror films I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was French, and there was an American remake. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that exists.
Was it called Martyrs as well?
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, and no one saw it. I heard it was pretty bland in comparison. Like, it doesn't have nearly the impact that the original does. The original is like, it's horrific, but like horror existentialism, which is even worse because you're like, I need to watch cartoons now.
Yeah.
I don't know what life is. It messes you up.
Oh, it's the movie is Knock Knock.
Knock Knock.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. Yep.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the way he shot Keanu in the house. It's one of the most empty feeling, and maybe that's like not by design, but just happened to add to the movie. Who knows? But
he's like, oh yeah, no, I totally intended for that.
It's one of those things, yeah, where I could very much imagine like a toy walking down the hall at Keanu Reeves, and like that being frightening in the way that it was shot in that setting.
There's that.
Yeah, like I guess being okay with the goofier elements, it really, really would feel like in the spirit of a Child's Play or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I guess I just don't want it to feel like a knockoff of Puppet Master or a knockoff of Child's Play. Like, yeah. I want it to feel like I want to find that just the unique sauce to add to this that makes it go, oh, but this is its own thing. Like, this is very distinctly its own thing.
It needs to be like Mayo Chup or Mayo Must.
Mayo Q.
Mayo Q. There you go. That was the original. I think. I don't know. I lost track of all the things I saw on Facebook. God, I'm still trying to think of some other examples because my brain keeps either going towards comedy or horror.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find one that I know could do both.
Yeah. So, somebody who is Sam Raimi.
Granted, what was the last thing he directed? Was it the Oz the Great and Powerful?
That sounds right.
So like,
that sounds right to me.
Been? I think he's just been producing now.
Which I didn't hate that movie either.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's almost forgettable.
It's one of those things where it's like, if Sam Raimi had done his own Wizard of Oz and then followed up with that, I think it would have felt more like real.
But that'd have been way too much of a risk.
Yeah. Well, nobody does like studio like wide release versions of Wizard of Oz anymore. Like Sci-Fi will do something, or low budget indie something.
Yeah.
But no, like, when is the last time somebody was like, oh, I guess the Muppets. The Muppets Wizard of Oz was the last like wide release Wizard of Oz, and that's the one everyone's okay with.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I think that was on TV.
Now that I say the Muppets, I do want an evil Muppet in this movie.
Sure.
Who's the most terrifying Muppet?
Animal.
Especially if he does a drum solo right before he attacks you.
Oh yeah.
Or Fozzie can just bad joke you to death.
Waka waka. I love your audio spike when you do that Fozzie impression.
They're gonna be like, oh, my ears are bleeding.
I'm gonna have to do some adaptive gain on this.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sam Raimi, like, we had Army of Darkness era Sam Raimi, or even Evil Dead 2. Like, Evil Dead 2 is darker than Army of Darkness, but it's still comedic.
Yeah.
Like, I've told people over the years, like, the tone of those three films changed drastically. The first Evil Dead is strict horror with, like, some beats of comedy. There are, like, a few, like, dark comedy moments, but for the most part, it's dark. It's meant to be a horror film. Evil Dead 2 was horror with comedy. Right. Army of Darkness was comedy with horror.
Right.
Like, they all feel different.
And then the new Evil Dead, I think, is probably closer to the tone that I would want, where it's like...
Really?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that's definitely, like, hard, full-tilt horror, though. Like, I feel like the remake tonally is closest to the original Evil Dead.
I guess I laughed a lot during it.
Now, maybe, like... Now, when you say the new Evil Dead, you mean the remake or Ash vs. Evil Dead, the series?
The remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you also had the tone of Ash vs. Evil Dead, I think that would work, too.
I have not watched that.
You should.
Okay, I will watch that.
The pilot episode was actually directed by Sam Raimi,
so
he did do that.
I tried to get him to watch it, by the way. I just want to make that clear. I tried to get him to watch it.
Listen, I watched Final Space with you.
That was one of the best things that ever happened to your life. Don't lie.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Final Space was amazing.
No, if you're a fan of the Evil Dead trilogy, you need to see Ash vs. Evil Dead. Because it's essentially a 3-season-long Evil Dead 4.
What's that other show? Stan vs. Evil?
A lot of people keep making comparisons between the two of them.
It's just the title. I've never seen either.
There are similarities.
Oh, okay.
But I would say Stan vs. Evil, or Stan Against Evil, that's what it's called. that's more like a hard PG-13 if that exists, versus Ash vs. Evil Dead's R, if not sometimes NC-17.
Damn. Okay.
Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's dark comedy, but it's definitely more in line with, like, Evil Dead 2
Okay.
in tone. But Ash himself acts more like the Army of Darkness Ash. Because
Okay.
even, like, Ash himself changes a bit in the 3 films.
Okay.
Like, Army of Darkness Ash is the Ash that everyone remembers, I
Yeah.
feel. So, and that's the one you kind of get in Ash vs. Evil Dead. But
Sure.
maybe even more sarcastic and smart-ass-ish. So...
I'm trying to think of casting for this. Who would I want to play Alan? Because they have to be unlikable by the end of it, right? Like, you have to be okay with him getting killed by these toys.
Oh, so you do want him dead by the end?
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. That's
how you
yeah.
come full circle.
I guess again to like do Cabin in the Woods. That my favorite part of that movie is like, oh yeah, and they all die.
Yeah, just slam.
Yeah, like I think I found that funnier than any other thing that you possibly could have done to end that movie. Like, because anything else would have felt like a pun.
Yeah.
Whereas like the movie just saying, "Oh no, they die," is like, that's hilarious. Thank you for appreciating my intelligence and assuming that I'll get that that's supposed to be funny. Because I remember when I saw it in theaters, there was a couple people that was like, "Wait, they didn't get out?" I was like, isn't that funnier to you?
Like this is why we still have alternate endings, because you still have those audiences where it's like, oh, the heroes need to survive at the end of the movie. It's like that's not always a thing.
No.
They must have hated Infinity War.
No. Oh my god. I know a lot of people like did hate Infinity War for that. I hope they just like they stop there. They don't go to see Endgame. It's just like
by the way, there's another 3 hours.
sad for them forever. Yeah, I would be very down with Sam Raimi directing this. I would be very down with oh shoot. Devon, look this up. The guy who directed I Don't Feel Like a Part of This World Anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Or I Don't Want to Be in This World Anymore. That guy's really good at the like.
I don't want to be on this planet anymore.
Good news, everyone.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah, whoever directed that, he's really good at like very dark comedic beats along with like actually horrifying events. He doesn't do horror or hasn't done horror so far. It's more like indie.
Okay, the director of I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore is Macon Blair.
Yep, that guy. He was the star in Blue Ruin, which is another movie that I like.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, my friend Jesse.
He actually got a
raves
decent
over that.
filmography. He did. Green Room, Murder Party.
Oh yeah. Green Room.
Let's see. Well, he did it. He's got a bunch. He did Logan Lucky. I didn't realize that.
He didn't direct Logan Lucky. Steven Soderbergh directed that. I think he was just in it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Is
He
it like
had a
the
role.
known for section?
Yeah.
Yeah, that gets a little confusing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know they did.
Yeah, look up his.
Yeah.
I think he only has one director credit, and he's got a bunch of acting credits because that's how we got into stuff. Because the guy who directed Green Room and Blue Ruin directed Hold the Dark, that Netflix movie.
You're
That
right.
was the first time they didn't work together.
Gotcha.
He only directed I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. He also wrote that, and then he was a writer for Small Crimes, also a writer for Hold the Dark.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, man. I think I brought up Hold the Dark a couple weeks ago. If you have, like, 2 hours that you can commit to a movie and not look at your phone, Hold the Dark is the one.
Yeah.
So hold the phone.
Yes. Don't hold the phone. Hold the dark.
Then hold the phone. Like don't.
There's too many instructions. Okay, yeah. That guy, Sam Raimi, those guys would be great directors.
I'm still thinking.
I really want like a physical comedy actor is really who I think would be a fun thing to do in this, but like not have them cheese it up.
Yeah.
It's like I'm thinking like
more
who,
like circumstantial. Physical comedy.
yeah. Like who's the new Jim Carrey? Somebody that can carry dramatic weight, but also like do funny.
That's a good question.
Who is the new Jim Carrey? Do we have a new Jim Carrey?
Is there a new one? That's the bigger question. Will
Yeah.
there ever be a new one?
Part of this also makes me want to like cast a Vine star just so I can watch them get attacked and die horribly.
Oh God.
Sorry, that's my millennial bias showing. Sorry, Gen Z. Sorry, guys. I love you, I promise. But some of y'all are shitty.
Head unsubscribe.
Okay, yeah, that's good. What studio? I think this, for horror movies, that is a great question. What studio is putting this out?
Well, Blumhouse doesn't really do much in the way of like comedic.
No.
If we're getting Sam Raimi, it might as well be Ghost House because that's already his production company.
Right.
And Drag Me to Hell was produced by Ghost House, and that was basically horror comedy.
Did you like that?
It was overhyped, but
Okay.
I still enjoyed it. It wasn't, top tier Raimi.
Yeah.
But I see that he was trying to get back into what he had done before Spider-Man, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think that was his first post-Spider-Man 3 movie.
It was.
So
I saw the quality of that being a purposeful middle finger to Sony, because
yeah,
of
that
how
was a Sony
long
movie,
they made
wasn't
him
it?
wait.
Was that Sony movie or Universal? I think it was Universal.
Good question, actually.
But it was still middle finger to Sony.
Oh yeah,
Regardless of who
regardless,
produced
it was, for sure. But yeah, that was one that was like, I know that there's a better version of what's in there, but I think he very purposefully made steps to make it not like the goodness shine through in the places where he wanted to be earnest about it, and then just like the CGI goat or the CGI eyeballs. I'm sorry, the eyeballs popping out of the ghost, going into the girl's mouth, the goat talking, all of that is so Sam Raimi's sensibilities, but also felt intentionally worse and cheesier, just to be like, hey, I could have done this really well if you'd have just let me, but I don't know. That's a different rabbit hole, I guess.
We had cynical Raimi at that point.
Yeah,
it's I
don't blame him.
You wanted Venom? Here you go, you jackasses. I was gonna say other words, but
yeah.
I'd like to see y'all make a Venom movie with no Spider-Man characters. Oh wait.
Oh, I was kidding. Don't do that.
Oh my god.
I think Venom is on the list for a guest to come on and fix soon.
Oh, nice.
Good luck. I mean, that feels like an impossible
I'll be there
task.
that day because I still need to see it. And
You
that'll give
know-
me an excuse.
That means I'll finally actually have to watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'm more
I have
looking forward to
avoided
seeing
it
that
thus
than
far.
Death Wish, though.
I'm so sorry about Death Wish. Also, did we tell you that Death Wish's audio is not great, and we're gonna have to redo that in glass? Because we're gonna have to redo that in glass. So what I think we're gonna do is a Bruce Willis double feature special, where we don't have to rewatch him because we've seen him so recently, but we'll just kind of smash our fixes down into a half hour, 45 minutes each, and just re-release it as a lost episode. Because there was with the Skype, there's a weird delay. Because it was before we were using headphones. Oh, yeah. Because, hey, we're not professionals. We're figuring this out as we go.
That's how the best podcasts are made.
It's true. Yeah, so I couldn't recover it. I couldn't fix it.
Yeah. You gotta just use that blood, sweat, and tears and a little bit of drug test urine.
Yeah. Fake phallus. That actually...
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Okay, I'm happy with this. I don't know if I want to call it Small Soldiers 2.
Smaller soldiers.
Smaller soldiers.
Medium soldiers. I don't know.
Micro Machines.
That might be taken.
I don't think so. Nobody makes those anymore. How long do those licenses stay?
Yeah.
Also, Devon, did you figure out that this movie is a prequel to Michael Bay's Transformers? Because it's exactly the same family. Alan grows up into Shia LaBeouf's character.
Sweet Jesus.
It's been so long since I've seen the first Transformers, I didn't even make that connection.
Same dad.
But now I'll never be able to get away from that.
There's one shot in the action scene at the end where they Dutch angle, and there's a firework explosion, and the lighting on the dad was so it's literally probably 5 frames, but it was just enough that I was like, oh man, it's Michael Bay. How did you get in here? It was great. Oh man, I loved that. Loved that.
Okay,
I'd love to see Michael Bay's version of Small Soldiers.
That's who'll produce it. Platinum Dunes.
Perfect.
Sweet Jesus.
I
said
all
before,
three
we can get a
houses
Quiet Place
explode
out
by
of
the
them.
end.
There's hope.
So I've been like looking for physical comedy actors. One, there is a scarily small amount of them.
Yes.
But two, I have a potentially weird but possibly amazing cast for Alan.
Throw it at me.
Dave Bautista.
I'm trying to not hate it. Okay, no, really, what I'm trying to do is like,
I mean, he was a small kid, and so like over time he got bullied. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna do something about this.
Yeah, it's not it's not unbelievable.
So he'll basically be like his replicant character in Blade Runner 2049, just in this place by himself.
Yeah,
Just making a sludgy tea thing or whatever it was.
eating grub worms.
There you go. Yeah.
Gotta get that protein in. Yeah, okay. I don't hate it. I think it would be very difficult to hate Dave Bautista by the end of a movie where he's being attacked by toys.
It's true.
He's too charismatic, damn it.
He
Like,
is.
This is true.
Okay. Let me come up with an alternative. Keanu Reeves.
there we go. We already brought him up earlier. It's like, wow, Alan, you well, I can't say you aged quite a bit because he still looks like 15 or 20 years younger than he is.
I know.
But he is like 50 or something.
Yeah, he's in his 50s.
So it's
for
like
sure.
20 years later. He should only be like mid-30s.
Right.
Although Keanu can pull that off.
Well,
so, hey.
it doesn't have to be 20 years later. Like, we could set this, in the future. Oh, no. Who's the guy from Upgrade? Knock off Tom Hardy.
Oh,
Yeah, not Hardy.
Yeah.
Not Hardy.
Yeah.
You know who I
Tom
mean.
Hartley.
Tom Hardy.
I know who you're talking about, though.
No, yeah, that guy.
I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that because ironically, like part of me wanted to say Lee Winnell as a potential director.
Oh, yeah.
Like
okay.
because I know like when you see interviews with him, he actually is like pretty funny. Actually.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like he could do that too. But yeah, just get the guy from Upgrade as the star.
Yeah.
I could see that, and the guy he was also the first Electro in Spider-Man: Homecoming before he got dusted.
No, he didn't get dusted.
It's
He
a
got
different
other
dusting.
dusted.
Other dusted, yeah. He got dirt deviled.
Dirt deviled.
Logan Marshall Green.
That's
There
right.
you go.
It's so funny because
Yeah.
I literally did an episode of Movies That Should Bang where I couldn't remember his name and called him Knockoff Tom Hardy. That was for The Invitation. Oh, the director from The Invitation. She could probably direct something like this.
Yeah. From The Invitation,
Yeah.
possibly, yeah.
I could. Have you seen The Invitation?
I have not.
Ooh.
Also,
speaking
can
of
we
things
just-
I wish
can we just-
wish ended Lovecraftian, that was one. It didn't, but I wish it had.
What was this again? Like, what was it about?
The Invitation is like a bunch of friends get invited to a dinner party, and then they find out that their old friends have joined this like church, and it's like they want to witness to them, but then like it turns into like, oh no, they didn't join a church, they joined a cult. And
Oh, dear.
yeah, it gets really good, but it's like very like slowly paced. Things are delivered through dialogue instead of exposition.
Yeah.
So like you pick up the story as people are talking and how they interact. It's really really well made for like medium sized cast, one location, like simple story script.
Yeah.
Like not a lot happens in the movie, but it's just like it's really atmospheric. It really like plots out well.
Nice.
I think it's like a tight 80 minutes or something like that. It's just like it knows exactly what it wanted to be, and it just like hits the bullseye.
Nice.
Whoever directed that, she could probably do I can't remember her name, but she could probably do, man, what is the name for this movie? That's I think the one thing that's bugging me, because it's like it's a spiritual successor to Small Soldiers.
Yeah, but like you're not really dealing, except for Chip Hazard, you're not really dealing with soldiers at all
Yeah,
anymore.
and it's a melted Chip Hazard.
The Invitation was directed by Karen Kusama.
Yes. Has she directed anything since then?
That's a good question. Let me check.
Yeah, like because Child's Play is the perfect name. You know what I mean? Like for something along these lines.
True.
The toy chest.
Dishonorable discharge. Because we're just thinking about Chip. So.
Unforeseen circumcision.
Oh God. No, that's the name of one of the chapters in the movie.
Yes.
When you're looking at the DVD and Blu-ray.
Do people still do that?
Hey,
Yeah.
just because it fits way too many aspects, cut off.
Cut off. I don't hate that. It makes me think of Don't Breathe.
That's true.
Could just call it Small
And
Soldier.
she has directed two
Just
movies.
take the last S off.
One was in 2017 called XX, and the other was 2018 called The Destroyer. Or just Destroyer. Sorry, not The Destroyer, just Destroyer.
I will look into those.
It's a destroyer, not the destroyer. I don't think.
Yeah, that's a save. An hour and a half. We did it. We saved. Well,
Okay.
I wasn't even trying to save the movie. I like Small Soldiers.
Yeah, no, I think I had more fun with it as
Yeah,
a
no.
33-year-old than I did as a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I appreciated like the mechanisms.
Yeah.
Yeah, or would have appreciated the mechanisms as a kid.
And I
like,
think-
the burning CDs, putting them in the toaster till they catch fire to launch burning CDs that's genius.
I also feel like with a lot of it, the fact that we're appreciating it more as adults than as kids speaks to the fact that it was, as you said, supposed to be an R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Like it was probably
Yeah.
meant more for adults, and like,
Yeah.
hey, now we got to whittle it down for families.
It's got a Spielberg feel to it. That like his ability to horrify and cause wonder and
Like it was produced by Spielberg, like
Gremlins.
or like Poltergeist. I know
Yeah.
that was not Dante. That was technically Toby Hooper.
I mean,
although
This was
that's a myth
was
that's been going
produced-
around for a while.
Spielberg was a producer on this.
Oh.
Wait, what?
I think
Small
as
Soldiers.
I think uncredited though.
Interesting.
Actually, also weirdly, his sister was an uncredited writer on it as well.
Wild.
Is Carrie Fisher somehow involved in some capacity?
Not that I'm aware.
Because
Of.
she like rewrote half of the films in Hollywood in like the 80s and 90s, and no one knew about it.
Really?
So, I'm slightly exaggerating, but she actually apparently like after her death, like it came out, it became more like widely known that she was like a script doctor
Interesting.
for like a lot of movies. In fact, it's
Huh.
it's kind of sad that she was not more known for it until after
Yeah,
her
that's
passing.
wild.
Like it
That's
was like kind of
amazing.
more of a rumbling while she was still around, but like
Yeah.
it became much more well known. In fact, like, oh yeah, this movie, that movie, this other movie. Like I need to like see the list of films.
Sure.
Like I think maybe I know she was in The Burb. She might have actually done some rewrites too. I don't know. But yeah, no, yeah, she did like a lot of script rewrites.
Wild.
So, yeah,
That's awesome.
She was like a ghost rewriter of scripts, basically.
That's
Huh.
amazing, and I
Yeah.
love that. It makes me love her even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna count this one as a film. Or a pitch rescue. I don't know. The challenges are weird because like it is just like can you come
Film
up with something
upgraded.
good? Yeah, film
Yeah.
upgrade. I would watch this. I would go see this and have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever we end up naming it, Toy Soldiers,
The Small Soldier.
the Small Soldier,
It's just that's what you do for a sequel. Just put the and make it singular. Done.
the Halloween. That's how you fix those titles.
The Rambo.
The Rambo.
Not just any Rambo. The Rambo.
Yeah, I like that a lot. We are currently an hour and a half in. I want to talk about Captain Marvel.
Little bonus.
Yeah, a little stinger.
Since we all have seen it now.
All right.
Well, I'll go ahead.
So.
Yeah, go ahead, Devin.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No. I was getting ready to say, what are your all's impressions? Because I know my impression. I also have to admit it might be slightly stilted. So I want to hear you guys first.
Okay. I have yet to see a movie. I haven't seen mid-90s yet, but I have yet to see a movie currently that does the tone and feel of the 90s. Not just like the 90s references, but like feels like a 90s movie more than Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
The car chase certainly helped.
Yeah.
Like, how in the hell did they get all these 90s looking cars out there? Unless it's just a lot of CG. It's
Right.
Marvel, so that's possible.
Definitely.
But yeah,
They
it felt like I was
went to
watching
a
a
trailer
Lethal Weapon
park
sequel.
and they rented them.
Right. Yeah, just like I loved how 90s this whole thing felt. Like ending up in the woods in Louisiana just before, this big like that grounds you on our world before you go to the otherworldly thing that happens in a bunch of those sci-fi thrillers. It had like weird little like tastes of E.T. It felt like Pulp Fiction in little areas. I think probably purposely because they had Sam Jackson, but not even. It wasn't just him. Like it was the construction of the scene sometimes that it was like this feels like a '90s movie. I really enjoyed it for that. I think my actual like filmmaking complaints is, God damn it, Marvel, please stop putting fight scenes in dark rooms with just like shades of blue, gray, and black. I can't tell what's going on.
Yeah, especially when some of the characters are shades of blue, gray, and black.
Yeah.
Like that last alien who said that she really never liked Captain Marvel to begin with.
Right. Like, oh my God, I'm so, because the beginning, the train fight, like I can tell there was good action in this movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what was happening to know what was cool or not in the end.
Quick cuts and shaky cam, an action scene does not make.
Yeah, just like because then when she goes binary and like takes out the fleet and the missiles and all that stuff, I was like, this is awesome. This is like so colorful and Superman, probably the most Superman scene we've had like since what was the one before Man of Steel? Superman Returns.
Although that movie was pretty brown looking, so
yeah. Oh no, I just mean it's like the execution of the action.
That's fair.
Yeah, like the plane catch in the beginning, and then
that's probably the best scene in the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Captain Marvel gave us like probably one of the more Superman looking scenes since Superman Returns. So there was a lot of good aspects. It's definitely like B+ tier Marvel.
Yeah, I put it right in the middle.
Yeah, I know that there's movies that I like less than this one. I know that I probably won't watch this one again.
I mean, as I said earlier, I'm a Steelbook whore, and I get all the Marvel ones when they come out, so I'll be getting the 4K Steelbook whenever it comes out. It's already up for pre-order on BestBuy.com, so screw it. I'm just going to use my $5 certificate.
My other complaint is that the Skrulls turned out to be good guys, which I guess is a twist.
And I know I'm out of my comic book lore. I mean, I've watched the comic movies a lot, but the comic books, I vaguely remember the early 90s seeing them in some of the Hulk comics, because my dad got those a lot. I'm like, I don't ever remember them actually being, like, good.
No.
So I was waiting for, like, the second twist.
Me too.
But they made
this had the Wonder Woman thing of, like, is it just going to expose that, like, everybody's kind of bad at times, and then she's got to stand up for good? That's what I thought was going to happen. And I was like, nope, I guess Ben Mendelsohn got to turn out to be a good guy for once.
For once, yeah.
I was a little mad they didn't hint towards who the leftover Skrull is on Earth, because that's, like... and I don't know if that's a red herring that Marvel put out just to, like, mess with people.
Well, there's already been, like, rumors, like, oh, what if this established character that we've seen for years is really just a Skrull, or... Yeah. And they got to be very careful with that, because that's how you end up ruining movies that could have already been great.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a primary side character is who it'll end up being, if it is anyone.
It's going to be Bucky. Because, you know, he actually dies at the end of the first Avenger. So who we see in the Winter Soldier... You know, the Hydra thought that it was Bucky, but it was really Skrull. Of course, that was back in, like, the 40s, so that kind of defeats that purpose.
Like they were too deep into his physiology for it to them not know he was a Skrull.
But he can't remember his past. He only has recent memories.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh God, where am I going with this? This is an accident.
Yeah.
Abort.
And
Abort.
Captain Marvel did make an awful big point about the fact that Skrull can change down to the molecular level.
That's
like
true.
DNA change.
That's true. Yeah.
They emphasize that a lot.
Yeah. What? Could you turn into a cat? What's a cat? That was one of my favorite running jokes in the whole thing. That like Talos did not believe that cats existed or something like that, like because it ended up being a Flurgan, which is a great reference to the comics. Like I'm sure that made a lot of people happy. Like there was enough in here that I'm like I was very satisfied.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like I haven't seen Iron Man 2 more than once. I haven't seen Thor the Dark World more than once. Although I am gonna fix that one soon. Sorry guys.
That's fine. I will watch it again though because I think the last time I actually saw it was in theaters.
Yeah.
Like I own it. Because of course, but right. I haven't seen it since it was in theaters.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Marvel movies that I have only seen once in theaters because that's all I needed. Like I get enough from like the YouTube breakdowns. So if I
enjoyed them, but you know, a lot of times I don't go back.
Right.
Unless I want to do a marathon or something. But,
sure. Yeah. So overall, very happy. I even like the girl power stuff because it felt like '90s girl power stuff. Like
that's true.
Like the joke at the beginning where the guy's like, that's why they call it a cockpit. I was like,
that was kind of pushing for PG-13. I'm like,
it was, but still like in the tone of the movie, it was such a great joke.
Yeah.
To like her being such a great pilot. Over top of that, this movie made me very sad that the Green Lantern movie didn't turn out well because they could have been the same movie. Like literally,
true.
you could
That's
just
true,
like
actually.
copy these and make them the same movie.
In fact, I think I read a review where they said that there were similarities just without the rings.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny. Like one thing I would change, like musically speaking, like when there's the fight on the ship near the end and they're playing "No Doubts, I'm Just a Girl."
Yeah.
If that was like the karaoke song that played earlier in the movie when she was having her memories with her friend Rambo, like I remember the last name for obvious reasons.
The Rambo.
Yeah, the other Rambo. And then have it play not non-diegetically, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the jukebox I was on there would still be playing stuff from like '89 and back probably.
Sure.
But like, oh, it's a callback to earlier. That works, kind of like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 when they're playing Fleetwood Mac's The Chain the second time after it had already been playing earlier in the movie when they were splitting up.
Right.
And it kind of works in that case. But
sure.
like just having it come out of left field.
It was a little anticlimactic.
A bit.
Especially with not being able to tell what was going on in that scene. It was like, I'm just listening to Gwen Stefani sing right now is what's happening. That's the only thing I can actually delineate from what's happening on screen. Devin, how did you feel? I know you texted me, you said you liked it.
I did. I liked it, but okay, so my long-running complaint with Marvel movies has always been story. Most of them really don't have a story. Like, there's the overarching MCU story that's going on, but the movies themselves don't have like a good story. They don't delve into characters. It to me, each one, like, it basically feels like I've been watching one long movie.
Yeah.
Across, like, and that annoys me. That's why I don't rewatch most of them, because I'm like, I'm not getting anything really good out of this. I mean, there are a couple with good stories, but I felt like this one kind of broke out of that and created a story that was in a bubble of its own that obviously connects at the end.
Yeah.
It actually gave us, and even though it wasn't well told as a story, it was at least a story that was like original and constructed. And I mean, even the things like the fact that her powers came from the engine and her plane blowing up, I was like, that feels like a really good like origin story for a hero. That's the kind of thing that harkens back to like the 90s kind of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, even though, well, first of all, even though her character's not super fleshed out script wise, obviously Brie Larson stepped into it like a skin, like she always does.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm almost guaranteed to be on board with anything Brie Larson does at this point. But yeah, I mean, it definitely has a lot of issues, but like I said, it felt to me like its own thing.
Yeah.
I didn't go, okay, I just watched another Marvel movie. I watched a movie that was made by Marvel.
Yeah.
But it was its own thing.
Now, as we witnessed downstairs, though, not everyone likes that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have some of the complaints that other people have. Like in the timeline, this movie should have been Phase 1. Like, Ronan being the bad guy in it after we already know he dies in Guardians felt very like unnecessary.
Yeah, it felt almost like a throwaway. It's like, hey, remember this character? Because you probably don't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like...
Because everyone loves Guardians, but not Ronan the Accuser.
Right.
That's like the rare exception where they love the film, but not the villain.
Right.
Usually if they don't like the villain, they don't like the movie.
And it would have been great if he had character development in Guardians, and then when he pops back up in Marvel, it would have been like, oh, this guy!
Yeah.
But I'm like, what is Ronan's character? He's mad.
See... I thought when he first popped up, I was like, are they going to retroactively try to save him?
No.
That's
like,
what
I thought maybe they were going to give
for months. And they didn't.
Because, yeah, I mean, they could have given him character here. They could have made him like the big baddie at the end, but instead it's like a throwaway fight.
And I think to a degree, it kind of ruined the reveal that the Kree are also like stinkers.
Mm-hmm. I mean, once you have... I can never pronounce the actor's name. Hansu.
Jaimon Hansu.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like when you have him as part of the group, I'm like,
Yeah.
It's like unless he like turns later
Yeah.
and joins Ronan, but yeah, something seems off. And there you
go. One of my favorite things about Captain Marvel was the thing with her and young Rog, Jude Law's character. The like when she lands after going binary and taking everybody out, and it's like very obvious she will win this fight. the movie just goes like, just enjoy yourself now. Just have a good time. Like it was such a relief because I was like, if he like Super Saiyans up or something like that, I'm going to be like mad.
All I knew was coming was that Raiders of the Lost Ark moment with the guy with the sword,
Yeah.
swinging it about, and then Indy just pulling out the gun and shooting. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it, and boom, there it is.
Yep. Yeah, like I'm so proud of you. Like, oh my god, I loved that, like the condescending tone, and it's just like,
Yeah.
we're done. We are done. I love that. It was earned. It was so great. Wonder Woman did not do that, and I wish it had. Yeah, like there's definitely more good things to bad, but I just if this had been a Phase 1 or Phase 2 movie, it would have felt important.
Yeah.
And we would have like then come Endgame when the pager finally gets brought up. That would have been like a mind blowing moment in the theater because like everyone who went to see I'm sorry, I said Endgame, I meant Infinity War. Anyone who went to see Infinity War and saw that and knows who Captain Marvel was knew what was being referenced.
Yeah.
But also already knew a Captain Marvel movie was in the works. Whereas if it had come earlier and it's like we hit what 20 or 15 movies since Phase 1 or 2 to get to this point, and we're like, where's Captain Marvel? then the pager pops up, and now we have the backstory for it. Now it feels important, and then the whole theater can erupt with like
there were a few cheers in Infinity War when that happened because they knew, like you said, they knew what was going on. I just kind of like went, oh cool, because I was in that crowd of I know that Captain Marvel movie is coming. Yeah. So.
And also the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer that played before this movie confused not only people in my group but people around me going, isn't Spider-Man dead?
But here's the thing, and you might have seen this online, is that when they show the passport, there's no year in his passport dates. It's like you see the month and date but no year. So they did that shit on purpose in the trailer.
I'm sure.
They erased something. So,
I'm sure.
Because there's been like talk as to whether or not it actually takes place after Endgame. Because I think it was whoever the head of Sony was who was like, oh yeah, it takes place after Endgame. And then Feige's like, just like, stop talking. Let me talk about these movies. I know they're Sony kind of, but stop. So I think now they're trying to make people forget. Like, oh yeah, no, it takes place between Homecoming and Infinity War. Yeah, no, he's still gone. He's not coming back.
Right. Well, because like they didn't have that issue with Ant-Man and the Wasp, right? Nobody was going like, when is this set?
Until you saw the post
and
the
then
credit scene.
You knew at the end. So like, I don't know why they can't, I guess, do that.
I don't know, like the end.
Why isn't it working this time?
The end of Spider-Man: Far From Home. They're like, oh, we're back from our trip. Now we need to get on the school bus back to New York from the airport or something like that. Yeah. And he's wearing the Salad Tastes Like Sadness shirt or whatever it was.
Right.
And it's like, oh, then it leads into Infinity War. That would have made more sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's tricky. It's funny because Feige even said like, hey, we're not announcing any more Marvel films until after Endgame for reasons.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Far From Home is already a bit of a casualty of that.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, we know he's coming back. I guess, maybe. But it's very confusing. And there's already been like unofficial talks of Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
Unofficial talks of Doctor Strange 2. So I'm like, you can not announce them all you want, but the internet is a thing.
Yeah, we know what people are going to want as well. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, like an
we all want James Gunn to come back and do Guardians 3. God damn it!
Like I love how the other Marvel directors are like, oh, you know who'd be great? James Gunn. Like it was actually Taika Waititi. Yeah. That was the big one. And Edgar Wright also kind of threw his hat in there. That was definitely a middle finger to Marvel for obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, your former employer or employee, James Gunn. And it's that whole thing is just so stupid. And they're like, oh, we're still going to use the script. Then what's the point?
Yeah.
His name's still going to be on there. Just let him direct the damn thing.
Right.
Like, he is the one who courted this thing for 2 movies. And 2 was one of those movies I feel like if you do go back to see that one again, I get more out of it.
I've seen it. I think that's one of the few I've seen like 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like top 5 for me just overall.
Because when I first saw it, I saw it as a double feature at Roman Mills because they actually had the first one on the big screen again and then the second one right after. So we went back to back. And I think that kind of threw off how I felt about it at first.
Okay.
Because there is such like a tone shift between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, some of that humor is still there, that colorful palette's still there, but the actual like character development. It's
Right.
the second film is far more existentialist
Yeah.
than the first one.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
like when I saw it again by itself, I got more out of it. The first time I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, and then I saw it again. It's like, okay, now I do.
Yeah.
Like I got a lot more the second time I saw it.
Yeah.
and
Guardians 2 is like genuinely great.
yeah, it's very different, even though it's the same team.
Yeah.
That's what's so interesting about it too. And I would still love to see a third one done by James Gunn.
Yeah.
You know, just have him do one more, then get rid of him.
Yeah.
Gun and done.
Well, like, man, even I guess I'm in the headspace of like, I just want a good movie, so like have him ghost direct or something. You know, have Sean direct it. Sean Gunn directs it, but it's like,
Oh my god! I mean, he's already going to be on set anyway.
I'm
so
directing. James is just here visiting today. Isn't
Yeah.
that weird?
I mean, he's already there for the on-set Rocket anyway.
Right.
So
Yeah.
and I mean, they've already confirmed that with Endgame because he was talking about like stuff going on with Rocket. Because he's like the non-Bradley Cooper Rocket.
Mhm.
He's like, hey, he's on set when Dave Bautista needs to pet somebody.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I love those
there's
pictures.
that awkward photo of him petting James or the other gun, Sean Gunn,
Sean.
on the head with the little green screen leotard.
Yeah.
It's oh my god, it's hilarious.
It's great. I love it. I love it.
And then you gotta have the stuffed raccoon, the Rocket Raccoon on set too. It's so weird.
Devin, was there any stuff you didn't like about Captain Marvel?
I mean, like I say, a lot of the things you guys already talked about, like weird beats. Man, trying to think if there's anything that stood out to me of like that particular aspect was just really bad. I mean, there's definitely. I think like I'll say this. I think I could do a fix on it because there's definitely a lot of small things. That's like, okay, that could be better. That could be better.
Sure.
That could be better.
Yeah.
As far as like big things that stood out to me, I think probably one of the big things, and this is gonna sound weird, but I think we focused. Well, I guess this is okay. We simultaneously focused too much and not enough on the Kree.
Oh, yeah.
Good call.
Like there was way too much time spent like kind of exploring what they were as a society.
Mm,
And I think we needed more time on what they were as Planet Conqueror.
yeah.
Because, one, it would have given them more weight in this movie, but two, moving forward, if we ever deal with them again, then you've got more history with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, right now, they're kind of this shadowy character. I mean, we've had we've had Ronan the Accuser as a bad guy, but he's really, like, they left no real impression.
Right.
And they should be, like, literally, like, if the Kree decide to take you out, then you're in for the fight of your life.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing we want to feel out of them.
Okay. I have one big question leaving this movie. The question started for me in Guardians 2,
Okay.
continued for me in Endgame, and has come to the most confusing head in Captain Marvel. How does space travel work in the Marvel universe? Because they're looking for a light speed engine, but also I'm pretty sure, traveling at light speed to get back to Earth to get Marvel. But then Ronin ships are able to just show up.
Very much in like the Abrams version of the Star Wars movies.
Oh.
Like I got that vibe, like that thump thump thump.
Yeah.
When they suddenly like appear.
Yeah.
So for Captain Marvel, at least, I don't know about the others because it gets confusing, but I think there's a difference. So a light speed engine is not a warp jump engine.
Right.
So I think what we've been seeing are warp jump engines.
Yeah, because that's what was in Guardians, where it's like, oh, there's specific warp points, and you can only jump 7 at a time, or something like that.
Especially in Volume 2.
Right.
Where it's like a pinball game, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then they're having that like acid trip.
But then all the shots of Jan Rog coming back to Earth while he's communicating with Marvel are of them in hyperspace, like moving very, very quickly through space, not jumping.
Well, they did mention it was gonna be like 22 hours.
I mean, and I don't know
flight, whereas like Ronan just shows up through a warp gate. Why do you need a lightspeed engine if you already have warp gates?
Welcome to the warp zone.
I'm so confused.
Pick 2, 3,
It's
or 4.
cool looking. They're all cool looking. Space travel looks amazing in these movies, but it does not stop me from questioning how this shit works.
Yeah, if it was me, what I would do, because like warp, it just retroactively say everything we've seen so far are warp engines, which means you can only go from one point to the other. Even if you're traveling through hyperspace, you can't just stop wherever you want.
Yeah.
Whereas a light speed engine allows you to ramp up your speed and travel through regular space at light speeds.
Yeah.
Like you're not entering secondary space,
So
which would allow, I guess, for just more explorative travel.
Don't
Okay.
you love MacGuffins?
yeah. It's like I don't know if I'm ever supposed to understand because like do the cube
Yeah.
ships from Infinity War move through hyperspace? Like, because they didn't jump through windows that I saw, or maybe I'm not supposed to see. I don't know. I just have concerns.
I don't know. They've got a bunch of stuff going on. Who knows?
Yeah. But overall, Captain Marvel, it was fine. I'm excited for a sequel to it. I'm not, because I know they're gonna depower her first thing in Endgame. That's the first thing they're gonna do.
She's very OP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be tricky.
They're gonna knock her out. I almost can guarantee that Bruce Banner, Professor Hulk is going to happen to depower him. Thor is also weirdly jumping around power levels.
Yeah, it seems to.
Yeah.
He's probably the hardest to like pinpoint power level on, because like some movies he can do a lot, and then some movies he is like strong.
The Mjolnir was to control your power. It's really within you. Oh no, I need Stormbreaker.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have movies that are back to back, like 5 months apart, and
Right.
the writers are like, "Wait, what?
What did you say? Because I think that's what I said.
Crap."
Yeah. But yeah. Overall fine. Overall good.
Yeah.
I don't have the issues that everybody, I'm okay with letting the girls come play in the sandbox with us. You know? Like I don't.
That's the problem.
I don't see the issue here.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get all down this rabbit hole, but it's amazing how the internet like just tore Brie Larson's words and completely distorted them. It's like if you actually read the full articles, watched the videos, you know damn well what she really said.
Right.
Not all this clickbait BS.
Oh yeah.
Like, and so many people got so butthurt. It's like, you know what? Marvel doesn't need that money anyway.
Yeah.
So, bye. It's the same people that Warner Brothers didn't need that money for Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
Same thing. So,
which was a fucking amazing movie.
Oh yeah.
I like, man, it frustrates me because like you wouldn't, she could have said the same thing in context to like Black Panther. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, just because it wasn't made for you doesn't mean you won't enjoy it. Yeah. And it's not saying you don't come. It's just saying like, no, that like Black Panther was made for other people that want to come play with these toys.
The thing she said best was, she's not trying to take seats away. She's trying to add seats to the table.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's the best way you can put it. And, granted, I know I said before the podcast, I feel like Wonder Woman did some of this better.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe because it was also first.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Also,
like
between
take the
the
steam
two,
out of each other's sails.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, Wonder Woman was directed just by one woman,
right.
while Captain Marvel was a woman and a man.
Yeah.
So, and I can't remember the director's name of Wonder Woman.
Anna.
It's like
no.
I keep thinking like Catherine Bigelow. It's like no, that was not her.
No.
That was Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker and Near Dark. That was Catherine Bigelow.
Right. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to me that people are like this. I don't know. Yeah. Which and there are like we can be critical of the movie without like bashing it for being female led. Because now I'm worried like what are people going to do about Black Widow when she gets her own movie? If she gets her own movie, like that'll be awesome. Hopefully better than Salt was. Do you guys remember Salt?
Yes.
Oh god, I just know it's from the director of Blind Fury.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
No, Salt was what I hope the Black Widow movie does not turn into. And I'll be critical of it if it's bad, but
I still say the Black Widow movie. We already had it with Red Sparrow. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
No, I still haven't.
I did. Yeah,
I feel like that's essentially what a Black Widow. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good place to end it. We 2 hours in exactly. Go see Captain Marvel. Just go see it. I guess
it's worth at least
even
one.
If you judge it super harshly, just watch it.
Yeah. It definitely does. Man, okay. I was looking at the Rotten Tomatoes audience comments.
Oh, jeez. Why would you do
I know.
that?
And all the people that were giving it like 1.5s were like praising the movie. They were like, Sam Jackson is great, and like there's some cool action scenes, and man, the only part I just didn't like Brie Larson, 1.5 stars. Then you click on their profile and see what they gave like Thor: Dark World, and they were like, this movie kind of sags in the middle. It's definitely not quite as good. Not the best Marvel's ever done. 3 stars. And it's like, oh wow, okay, you're only a little obvious here, dude.
Yeah.
Like, be critical, sure, but don't like sing the praises of all the parts of a movie except for the girl. Brie Larson was better than Gal Gadot was. I mean, she's just a better actress. That is what it is.
Yeah, one of them has an Academy Award, so.
Yeah, that's true. I'm excited for more Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
I think I still hold to what I said the other week. I might be out after Endgame as far as like going to see these on opening night in the theater. I might give it a couple weeks and be like, oh, okay, I'll wait for DVD.
Especially if they start stacking them like this, where we're getting them like every few months.
I know.
It's like that's too much.
Yeah,
it's
way
way too much.
It really just used to be like 2 a year, and then I think because of some shuffling, they did 3. It's like, well, I guess we need to keep this up now. Because at one point we were going to get an Inhumans movie. I actually saw this article from like 2014 that like dated the next several years, and it was kind of surreal looking at this list.
Yeah,
most of it was accurate, but some was like, oh yeah, Black Panther was going to be like, I think it was going to be when Thor Ragnarok came out or something
the November
like that.
slot.
Yeah, but I think everything got shifted once Spider-Man came back into the fold.
Yeah,
and Inhumans was still dated as like an actual film.
Yeah,
not a TV show that was going to bomb hard.
Oh, that TV show's so bad.
Okay. All right. We should cut this off here before this turns into a Marvel podcast.
Yes, no, you're right. We're not a Marvel podcast. We did Small Soldiers.
Yes.
We did Small Soldiers.
Even though, like, I think about 20% of our podcasts end up turning into Marvel podcasts at this point.
It's inevitable. They just
sorry.
control the theaters right now. They're dictating how things are running in the movies, and that's not cool. But this has been the Film Rescue Show. If you have a pitch and you would like to come on the show and pitch it, send us an email at filmrescueshow@gmail.com or tweet at us on Twitter at Film Rescue Show. We also have a YouTube channel now. It's the Film Rescue Show, where we're uploading full. You might even be watching this right now. Video versions of the podcast. Eventually, we're gonna like redo and actually have like nice camera setups and studio, and it'll look good one day. But you have to subscribe to that channel before that happens. So subscribe to the Film Rescue Show on YouTube. And Montresor Media, if you want to check out our other projects, short films, show ideas, things that we run there.
Random crap.
Devon, Brandon, thank you guys for coming on and doing this one. I get the feeling that we're going to be few and far between where it's just the three of us pitching together.
Yeah,
we have a lot of guests lined up coming up. Depending on where this one gets released, you probably can go listen to the Patrick Willems pitch where he fixes the Winter Soldier. Yeah, he does. Like, it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah, like I said, I sadly missed that one, so I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yeah, that's what we got lined up. So go back and listen to our other episodes. Send us ideas. I'm running out of words to say, so that feels like a good place to stop.
Indeed.
Good night.